Now, there was something I know you wanted to touch on this, and this is going to be a quick one, or maybe it's just another discussion that can flow over to the chats or maybe in the comments. But we got to ask, man. So when you watching a boxing match, right? Because I know you watch. Shout out to little bro Mo. You watch it live. You watch amateurs, and you also watch, on TV. But when you sitting down watching a boxing match, what are the things that you're looking for? And name five of those things.
So what I also want to do, since this is a good topic as well, if anybody want to discuss or put in the comments what they also look for in boxing matches, because I'm also curious to see what other people look for, what they, I don't care if you're the casual boxer fan or analytic or have previous boxing experience. Put in the comments also what you're looking for, what you look for when you watch these fights. But in my opinion, for me, it goes more so by round. So for I want to say at least about the first 2 to 3 rounds, I'm looking for the game plan. I'm looking for the game plan, and looking for the game plan. I'm looking for who has a good jab or who's using, the jab, to score, and who's trying. And then I also want to look for who I feel is going to get hurt, who's going to get hurt early. So those are the things I look for in the first round, first 3 rounds, and then going between 4 and 6, I'm looking for more so endurance. Who can pull through when it gets to the even later rounds, and also how much hurt is being taken by the opponent. Um, Another thing I want to say I want looking for is specifically power punches, because those score big, and that could determine a
Ooh.
fight. So I'm definitely looking for that. And last thing I want to say is when it gets to the later rounds, it's just straight grit. Honestly, straight grit. And then if it gets to the later rounds, you know, how much longer we got before KO, or someone just got, or you could just go ahead and say somebody just won. So more for me, it's more so about rounds.
Okay.
When I look for that.
Well, see, that's because you entrenched in boxing. You kind of was around the ring a little bit. So I'm gonna say, for me, it's the story of the fight. That's the first thing I'm looking for. Like once I first hit a matchup, I'm like, all right, so why is this happening? Who are these two people? And if I know of them, why do they need to fight each other? So that's the first thing I look for, like the initial story of the fight. Then it goes into the technical skills because once I get the story, now I could break down and be like, all right, so how could this person beat this person? Like, let me use a fighter for an example. Tank versus Garcia. I'm gonna go there, or Tank versus Rody, because I didn't know too much about Rody, so I'm looking at like, why is he fighting Rody? Who is Rody? Now I got to
Hmm.
see the technical skills of how Rody can beat Tank, because I'm a Tank fan. So now I want to see how you can actually beat the person that I think is the better of the two, and then also going into like what I know what he's capable of. The third thing is the fight IQ and the strategy. It kind of the technique kind of rolls into the IQ and the strategy, but it's also like once you get into the ring, what what was your game plan going into it, and then what happened after you could see it altered a little bit. And I'll use another visual example of Haney versus Garcia. Like
Hmm.
Haney really thought he was gonna go in there and just do one thing, and then Garcia turned around and did something else. So like, what was the initial strategy, and what is your fight IQ that's gonna tell you like I can't keep doing this? Like, how am I gonna get back in the way a little bit, get hit in the first round, bounce back second round? Adaptability goes into it as well.
Yeah.
Later rounds, this is the fourth, like you said, the fifth or sixth round going into it is like, all right, this is not what I planned it to be. Spence Crawford. Do I go out and just start swinging all crazy, or do I like, or do I try to get technical? Do I get on the defensive? Or am I running around the ring more? Like I'm looking for those type of things. Like how are you adapting to your opponent, or how's your opponent adapting to you? And finally, I like that one too. Today, I'm gonna bring that comment up. But your team, like, what happens when you go back to that corner? Like, what is your team seeing and telling you that you need to work on, or things that you need to change? I.e., my pinpoint with Derrick James. Like, why are your boxers not really listening to what you're seeing out there? Because you're watching it from a different aspect. Granted, they are taking the hits, but what is your team telling you that you need to work on or that you need to avoid? So for me, those are like the five things that go into it. Because
That's
I'm more of a creature of habit. So if I'm
hmm
watching someone's habit, I'm like, well, if I can see it, I know the corner can see it. Then they need to
exactly.
tell them to change it.
So let's sum it up. So we're gonna say I'm gonna put yours a little bit yours and mine combined. So we're gonna say adaptability. punch resistance, um, game plan,
There we go.
and what we want to say is bad habits. Of course, the bad habits, because that's when we're gonna know if you're gonna lose. Your
There we
bad
go.
habits, and also power, because I know that's the entertainer aspect
Of
of the sport.
course. Of
Yeah.
course. And I'm gonna read one of the comments right quick because we got to make a quick prediction for the top fights, and then we're gonna get on up out of here. Tay said defense, technicality, footwork, game plan, and adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
And he also came back and was like heart as well, because you got to be willing to get hit and still push forward and get hit again. That's true.
Yeah,
That
you
is
gotta
true.
be. Yeah, that's true.
I would say for boxing, it's one of those things where it's one of those sports where you can't get too into your head because you might wake up the next day. So what happened, y'all?
And then when it comes to boxing too, especially with the heart aspect coming, because in my opinion, I feel as though you have to have. There's actually two wins. It's one for the winner, you get, you're victorious, but second also for the losing opponent to, win that battle with themselves that, took that loss, because that's another battle itself. So I like to see when fighters can take that loss and still come out champ with themselves and get back in that ring.
Shout out to Meek Mill. Now we're gonna do these top fights from the red corner. So basically